not recent history, I'm talking a few decades back, of not really encouraging growth. I think it's time for a new attitude, and I think we have adopted a new attitude, and we have to go out and seek those companies and bring them here. It's a wonderful community. We have so much to offer businesses here. Not just businesses, but their families. I mean, I really do believe it's the best place to raise a family. We need to go out and market those assets that we have here to attract more business. So we need to get out of the old way of thinking, let's not grow, and start in a new way of thinking of let's continue to improve our life here in Joplin.
So you're saying if we want to look after the family and everything is related back to that, then we need a strong economy and look at having strong businesses and what that means and looks like, right? And that's what affects our YPs, you know, with young families and young jobs and careers and still trying to figure out life.
And it's all interrelated. You can't just look at the economy and not talk about healthcare, or look at healthcare and not talk about education. For example, if a child is not getting proper healthcare and they're ill or they're malnourished because their parents can't afford to put food on the table, how are they going to do in school? And if our kids aren't doing well in school, we're not going to have a qualified workforce, and employers aren't going to want to come here. It's just all so interrelated, you can't necessarily separate them out. But it all kind of goes back to the economy. When families are doing well financially, they can afford health care, our businesses can afford to provide them, our schools have the tax base that they need because people are working and paying taxes, and it really kind of puts the whole picture together.
Well, but you know, I don't live in Joplin. I don't have kids that go to Joplin schools. Why should I care how they do and what's going on over there?
Well, it's not just Joplin specifically. You live in the Joplin area. So whoever goes for the 129 needs to go with the attitude of, I'm not just representing the 30,000 people who live in my district. I'm representing the area. We've had a great history of the representatives who we've had here working together to do what they can to improve the area. Whether you live in city limits or not, how this area does affects all of us who live in this area.
Right. That's good. So I should care.
You should care.
Okay.
Everybody should care.
Everybody should care. Sometimes it's hard to communicate that with people, though.
Well, I'm guilty myself. You get caught up in life. It happens. You know, you're just trying to make a living. You're trying to build your business. You're trying to start your family, and it gets very easy to get caught up in life. And to one extent, I have an advantage of knowing how laws affect us more intimately because I practice law. And so I see how the laws that are being made in Jefferson City and in Washington, how they're affecting the people whom I represent.
Right.
So I see it day by day that they really do affect us. But I still was one of those people that yelled at the TV until I finally woke up and said, you know what, time to quit just complaining about it, time to try to do something about it.
Right. So when they talk about a transparent government, is that just talk? Is that really possible?
Well, with technology, I think it's getting easier to have a transparent government. I think it is possible, and I think we need it. We need it because people are more and more savvy to technology, and if you put that information on the internet where the government has to disclose what it's spending on things, it makes the government more accountable. I mean, more people will look at that and say, wait a minute, why are we spending this amount on this?
Right.
At least that's the hope, and I think we should be moving in that direction.
Because it is, what, a $23 billion budget for the state?
It is, but only about $6 billion of that is general, which the state legislators have control over.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a pretty good-sized budget.
Only $6 billion.
Well, that's a lot of money. It's more than I can really contemplate right now. I know I've never seen those kind of zeros in my checkbook, I can tell you that. But if you're talking about possibly having to cut $1 billion out of $6 billion general, that's huge.
Wow.
And it's probably going to affect everybody.
Right. Let's start right now counting to 1 billion.
I don't even know if it could. I'd lose track.
Right. Now, is there any other areas we haven't talked about, things that affect your world and we should know about?
Well, like I said, really my focus is just the family and the issues that affect our families. You know, the number one issue right now is the economy, and that's what we've mostly been talking about, but other things like crime affect families. I really have a passion for children and doing what I can to help children. We have a real problem in this area, child molestation cases. One of the things I'd like to see is that those cases have to go to trial within 1 year. There's no reason. A defendant has a constitutional right to a speedy trial, so you're not violating any rights by forcing the case to go to trial within 1 year. Whereas I see firsthand where these kids, they think they're going to go to trial, they're preparing for it, they have the fear and nightmares about it, and it gets continued over and over and over. And I just
Really?
don't see how they can start healing until they get that behind them. And that's one simple thing that can be done, one simple change that I think can impact the lives of our children.
Right. I didn't realize that we had a problem with that, and
We do. It's something that people don't like to talk about,
sure.
but there is definitely a problem. And it's a problem everywhere, but we do have a problem here in southwest Missouri. And of course, meth is a big problem in Missouri, and the effect that it has on families is just horrendous.
Right. What about your opponent? Do you think you have some strong differences that you can?
I do. You know, I've actually, owned my own business with employees and operated my own business, and I think that insight will help me in Jefferson City. And also, I've been practicing law for 13 years, and I've taught law to other attorneys. I've done constitutional law, so I fully understand the Missouri and U.S. Constitution, and more importantly, I've been a public servant before in that I have been a judge. And my community has trusted me to make decisions on interpreting and applying the law. And that's exactly what a legislator does. They go to Jefferson City to pass laws to better the lives of the people whom they represent. And so I think my understanding of the law gives me an advantage.
Do you think if after you'd like to continue in public service down the road?
I want to continue in public service, but I don't know what avenue that's going to be. I don't know how well I'm going to like politics until I get up there. I'm pretty idealistic. I hope not to be disappointed in the process. If I am disappointed, I hope I can make changes in it. So it's hard now saying where am I going to be in 10 years. I've always worked on serving my community. I was in Big Brothers Big Sisters. I was matched with one little sister for 8 years. I've done lots of fundraising for organizations. So I always have my hand in what can I do to help people in the public. I just don't know for certain what that's going to be.
First woman president.
Could be.
Okay. Well,
because I can see Jasper County from my house.
Right. That's good.
I don't have anything against Palin. I just like that joke because I barely live in Newton County.
Right. Yes, that's good. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.